out the camp rules. Sean's translation left the other prisoners completely baffled. However, his son listened intently, because Sean's goal was to make his son believe that this was not a prison, and that it was an interesting game competition. He told his son that if they earned 1,000 points, they'd win a real tank. His son was overjoyed by the news, believing everything his father said, but the reality is that this is a concentration camp. They have to work non-stop every day, until everyone is exhausted, and those who are physically unfit for work will be taken away for processing. But to avoid his son doubting him, Sean still tried to stay upbeat, pulling out a piece of bread he had hidden in his shirt. He told his son it was the reward for winning the game that day. His son was thrilled and completely believed him. The bread, though, was all Sean had to eat for the whole day. At that moment, a female officer suddenly entered, ordering all the prisoners to undergo a physical checkup. However, Sean was pleasantly surprised to find that the doctor performing the checkup was actually an old friend of his. Therefore, Sean not only passed the physical examination, but the doctor also arranged for him to do light work in the cafeteria. Then, loud noises from downstairs caught Sean's attention. He discovered that a group of kids was playing outside. This made Sean really happy, and he quickly sneaked his son out to join them. But then a female police officer suddenly came out and shouted for all the children to return to the cafeteria. Sean realized that they were all children of the officers. Now it's too late for them to leave. However, what Sean didn't expect was that the female officer mistook his son for one of the officer's children. With no choice, Sean repeatedly told his son, "Don't say a word, no matter what happens," because the officer's kids didn't speak Italian. If his son spoke, their cover would be blown. But during the meal, the boy accidentally said thank you in Italian. This immediately caught the waiter's attention. He suspected the child wasn't a German kid, so he immediately reported it to his superior. Sean, fearing his son's identity might be exposed, quickly followed behind. At that moment, he suddenly came up with a plan. When the female officer angrily walked in, Sean had already taught all the German kids to say thank you in Italian. In this way, Sean's cleverness saved his son once again. That night, after returning to the camp barracks, Sean had just managed to get his son to sleep, but suddenly it became very noisy outside. He hurriedly got up and went to the window. He asked the other prisoners what had happened. A fellow prisoner told him that the war was over, but before leaving, they planned to dispose of all the prisoners in the concentration camp. Realizing the danger of the situation, Sean quickly picked up his son and ran out of the cell. At this point, Sean said to his son, "Today is the last game of hide and seek. If they could hide until sunrise, they would win the final prize, a tank." The boy believed him. Sean quickly hid his son. He then rushed to the women's prisoner of war camp to rescue his wife, but found that she was no longer there. Just then, a female officer spotted him. Soldiers immediately rushed toward him. He was arrested. They then dragged Sean toward the execution site, but as they passed the iron box where his son was hiding, Sean saw his son's worried and scared eyes. To make his son believe it was just a game, he quickly winked at him, then made exaggerated gestures. He swaggered past the box, but in reality it was the last time father and son would see each other. In the end, Sean stayed in the POW camp forever. Meanwhile, the boy hid until morning. He cautiously crawled out of the box, and there was no one around. As the boy searched for his father, a tank rolled toward him. The boy opened his mouth in surprise. His dad really didn't lie to him. The game of hide and seek had truly won him a tank. The Allied soldiers saw the boy alone, so they picked him up and put him on the tank, planning to send him to the Red Cross. Fortunately, the boy spotted his mother in the crowd along the way. Follow me. Next time, we'll bring you even more exciting